With the release of the shares, we'll now distinguish between a primary market and a secondary market. The primary market will be once a year, with new shares issued by Team for the Planet. And the secondary market is a sort of Craigslist for Team for the Planet shares, where all year round you can sell or buy Team for the Planet shares from other shareholders. So how do we ensure that the price doesn't skyrocket and that there's no speculation? Well, quite simply by ensuring and announcing in advance that every year new Team for the Planet shares will be issued. And they'll be issued at a calculated price, and therefore independent of what happens on the secondary market. In other words, if on the secondary market you have shares that are rising or are being sold or offered for sale at 20 or 30 euros, so 20 to 30 times more than is the case today, well, basically a buyer has no interest in coming to buy those shares because they know that in any case, in a few months, new shares will be put on sale and at the price that corresponds to the economic reality of Team for the Planet. An important point, and we can see it in the diagram on the screen. In fact, on the secondary market, you'll have what's called an order book. We see the number of shares, we see the price, but we also have the share classes to see what's for sale or for purchase. And then we'll also see the transactions that have been carried out. You'll be able to say, okay, I want to sell this many shares at this price. There are buyers who can say, I want to buy this many shares at this price. And then when it matches, the transaction can happen. For very large sums, we'll also be able to get support from an external specialized actor to facilitate the transactions. We call this a market maker. It's someone who is able to group several buyers or group several sellers to ensure that a transaction takes place. Here, we're talking about minimum amounts greater than 5,000 euros. And there's a third way, which is that Team for the Planet, we offer to buy back your shares from you instantly at 50% of the last issue price. Why is that? Because we wanted to make sure we could have liquidity and offer liquidity for people who absolutely want to get their money back. Then that's a real innovation where you'll be able to get that money back. If it's not through the secondary market by finding a buyer, it can be through Team for the Planet at 50% of the price. And why 50% of the price? Simply, the goal isn't for this to be a primary and attractive resale channel, but simply, just in case. It's ultimately a safety net if you can't find a buyer on the secondary market. And the fact of having instant liquidity in a market that is not initially liquid, that comes at a price, and so we discount that price. The secondary market is open for sales, obviously only to Team for the Planet shareholders, since you need to have shares to put them up for sale. However, anyone can come and buy those shares. It's not reserved only for shareholders. So if you are a shareholder and you want to strengthen your stock portfolio, you can go to the secondary market, either to buy for less or to buy previous share classes. But if you're not a shareholder, it's also an opportunity to become one at a time other than the Team for the Planet funding rounds. And so throughout the year, you have that possibility. If it's through new shares, as you've understood, it was continuous up until now. But starting next year, it will only be for a short period of a few days, once a year.